I'm resigning from the company.
Oh?
You remember when you first came to see me and I suggested we might settle rather than go to trial?
Oh, yes, I remember.
Well, I realized I was measuring everything in terms of money. Bottom line. I lost track of what I was supposed to be. So I think I'm going to settle down somewhere far away from big cities and big corporations, maybe a little town where I can hang a gone fishing sign in the door when things get a little slow.
Sounds wonderful. I know a place like that, if you don't mind snow. Quiet and friendly. And the striped bass are running 12 months of the year.
I'll give you a call.
I'll be waiting.
Hello, everyone. This is Sean.
Are you sure? you seem confused. Maybe you're Steve?
I
think I'm Sean.
Okay, no, this is not Steve.
No.
Could you just say your name?
My name's Steve. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Okay. And welcome to episode 31 of the Cabot Cove Confab. That's my Cosby voice there. The Cabot Cove.
Hello, Rudy. Theo.
I just gotta go put the pudding pop and put the pill in the pudding pop and have you eat it.
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. It's our Cosby moment of the podcast.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I showed Sean a couple of days ago the YouTube video of House of Cosby.
House of Cosby's.
Cosby's, yeah. It's, if you would imagine, it's an animated show that would have continued if Bill Cosby's lawyers didn't go after the creator. But it's basically a guy who clones Cosby from, I guess, a hair he found. And all the Cosbys, he clones 100 Cosbys during the duration of this program. But each Cosby is slightly different than the other. So Cosby, it's kind of like Smurfs. So you have Bathtub Cosby, you have Dancing Cosby. What were some of the other Cosbys?
You have
Pastor Cosby.
Oh, yeah. Cosby. Yeah.
Preacher Cosby.
It's actually pretty funny, but after a while, because the guy in Adult Swim style, they made episodes that were each maybe 5-8 minutes long. But the thing that you sent me on YouTube is basically just every episode. It goes on for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, you just can't watch this shit, and it starts to get dumber and dumber. House of Cosby's. Check it out.
My favorite was Cosbyette.
Cosbyette.
And it's basically, if you would imagine, Smurfette, but Cosby. So.
Oh man, I love the Smurfs
with the blonde hair, perky nipples. Oh my god, it was nuts.
Remember when you used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to watch shit like the Smurfs? Mm-hmm. Man, I miss those times. I can't do anything at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't care if I've been drinking the night before or not, but if someone's like, okay, we're going to go on vacation, our flight leaves at 6:30, we have to wake up at 3, bye! No, I don't want to go on this vacation anymore. This is ruined. Vacation is ruined. I don't want that. No, I'll catch a red-eye flight. I don't care. Anyway.
It's funny. I used to go back to the Smurfs, I had such a crush on Smurfette. I don't know why. I don't know if it was that the voice actress because she must have smoked a pack a day. Just had that sultry, that smoky voice. That's the only thing I can describe it as.
I guess.
She was so sexy.
Whatever. I used to collect them. They used to sell them.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
It wasn't really action figure type Smurfs, but They had so many of them. You know what? There's got to be a page for that. There's got to be a collector's thing for that, because there were like hundreds of them, and not just the ones that you would see on the show, but like, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I always wanted Gargamel and Azrael to like get a Smurf so they could eat them. I don't know why. I was like, I was rooting for them to catch Smurfs.
Yeah.
I wanted them to make Smurf stew.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was as dark back then as a kid.
No, it's true. Yeah, me too. Just once, the Smurfs gotta die. You know, like the Empire Strikes Back. The bad guys gotta win eventually. You know, in every chess game, you know. I had Gargamel and Azrael, I remember. I actually remember the one, I've talked about this in other podcasts with you, but the one with the purple Smurfs. When they catch a virus like a zombie, and they turn purple, and they're jumping around, and they're going, Ganesh! Ganesh! Which actually is I think it's a takeoff from the old Asian vampire movies, where the vampires would jump, which didn't make very much sense to me, but it's still kind of cool. And they would bite each other, and like all the Smurfs got infected until the last minute when Papa Smurf...
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, you know, he overturned... And, you know, Gargamel and Azrael... Why did they know that Smurfs taste good? Because there must be scenes that we were not shown. Or
right, they had to have tasted Smurfs at some point. And I stopped watching. I stopped watching the Smurfs when they introduced. What were the two human characters? The blonde...
Johan and Pee-wee.
Pee-wee.
Fuck!
Pee-wee,
why do I fucking know that?
I hated those guys. Like, ugh.
Yeah, they were...
Why?
They
ruined it.
They were the Scrappy-Doo of Smurfs.
Yes, they were.
Yes, I agree. Johan and Pee-wee, I have no recollection of what they actually fucking did, but they were annoying as fuck. Or AF, as the kids say on the internets nowadays. All right. That wasn't supposed to be our pre-show banter, but... You know, I guess it is. But I have more to say. Do you have anything to add to pre-show?
I've been drinking since, I don't know, 5 hours ago. So,
okay.
It'll come to me later.
So my pre-show banter is mostly aimed at you, and it's also aimed for the readers. But I actually wanted to assign you something to watch for me, but you're not going to do it. Just like the time that I assigned you to watch.
That's not true. Every time you say that, I always surprise you.
Okay, 2 words: Tourist Trap with Chuck Connors. You didn't watch that because we watched an episode with Chuck Connors, and I'm like, you got to check out Tourist Trap. Just doesn't you see? So, watching Shudder last night. And I saw this movie, which I think I've seen before, but I watched it with a much clearer head, called The House of the Devil. This is from 2008. However, it is filmed like an 80s movie. Okay, so you can tell the camera work is done like an 80s movie, the composition of the film, the credits, everything. And it's about this lady. I'm sorry, she's a girl. She really is a girl. And I'm going to tell you, Steve, you know, I bat for the other team, but this lady really knows how to fill in a pair of jeans. Like, I was watching her walk and, like, yeah. But anyway, she gets hired as a not a housekeeper, a house sitter for this very strange couple. I can't remember their names, but the actor was, they're both much younger than what they portray, but they're creepy. It's like, okay, I can't put my finger on it. They're just creepy.
Is it like the new Monsters trailer that was released?
Oh my God!
Rob
Yes,
Zombie?
thank you. That's it. That's what I wanted to bring up. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Before we were talking, can you talk about something that I have no interest in seeing? And when I saw that, I was like, "This is terrible."
I was excited. Oh,
you got it.
Because House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween. Rob Zombie's a horror fan, and I was like, okay, he's going to do the Monsters. not the monsters, the Munsters. With Herman and Grandpa, Lily, and anyways.
And nobody else from the original movie.
So it was always on my radar. I was aware of it. So the trailer came out, a week ago?
Yeah.
Now, I know, ladies and gentlemen, by the time Sean releases this, it'll be 2 months from now. So, okay, two months ago, Rob Zombie released a trailer. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. And the funny thing is that who had the rights to it? Was it Warner Brothers?
I don't know.
And they're like, or was it? I don't know. Anyway, so they're like, stick it on Disney, not Disney, stick it on Netflix for streaming only. So it was supposed to be a theatrical release and a streaming on whatever, I don't know, Peacock or whatever. Yeah, it was Peacock, NBC property. So NBC doesn't want anything to do with it. They're going to release it on Netflix.
Oh. It looks
That's
bad.
And it looks bad.
It looks terrible. I was at a party, I think, last Saturday, and I was like, did y'all see the new Munsters trailer? Not a party. Mm-hmm. It was more like people playing board games, and one lady, with my friend Jennifer, was like, yeah, I love the Munsters. And by the way, I kind of like the Munsters, too. Even though, like, I grew up...
It was a fun show back in the day, but...
Yeah. My dad loved it, so I grew up watching it. It was on, like, off school days in the summer. It was on TV in the afternoon, so I would watch it.
Yeah.
And, she's like, I love the Munsters. I'm like, I do, too, so watch this. And then I saw another soul get crushed as she watched it. It's
another soul died that night. Yeah.
So bad. It looks terrible. And I think there's two reasons why it looks terrible. First of all, I think it only has 3 members of the original story, and that's Herman, Lily, and Grandpa. We have no Eddie. We have no Marilyn. And when I watched it, remember when they made Brady Bunch the movie? Mm-hmm. And you think, oh, Brady Bunch the movie, that sounds terrible. But Brady Bunch the movie was kind of cool because they actually did with the Brady Bunch what they did with the Munsters in the 60s was that they were just this family that was so out there, and whenever they would go in public and talk to people, people were like, okay. Like they were just stuck in the 60s or whatever. This doesn't do that at all. This is like... looks like a Saturday morning kids show. It's terrible.
Someone said it looks like what was I didn't watch it, but it was the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
it looked like something from the Power Rangers from the 90s. That's what it looked like.
People might like that, but I can't believe back when we used to do shit we watched on Netflix. We watched House of a Thousand Corpses, which is actually the first half of that movie is a great horror movie. It really is, with Captain, what was his name? Sid Haig as the clown guy.
Yeah.
He's great. Like, this came from your mind, Rob Zombie? What the fuck? Anyway. Could you imagine if they did that with... Anyway. Okay. So
Someone said Rob Zombie is a great musician that made a couple of movies. And it's kind of like, he's a great musician. Made a couple of movies.
More than a couple, but that Halloween movie he made sucks, by the way. And I have it on DVD or on Blu-ray, and I bought both of them. He made Halloween 2 as well. I bought both of them, and it's not good. I mean, I've heard people complain about it. I'm like, well, I'll be the judge of this. I can find these for $15, both movies. No, it's not good. It's. I don't know. I used to be a Rob Zombie fan, but anyway. Although Malcolm McDowell plays the Donald Pleasance character in the second movie, which is kind of cool. I do like Malcolm McDowell.
That is cool. Yeah, me too.
Anyway, so I saw this movie, The House of the Devil, and it's about this girl that goes and she house sits in this big old creepy house. And the movie starts out with, what would you call it, a place card or a title that says, in the 1980s, something percent of people believed in satanic worship. Okay, so you're told at the beginning, this has got to be about Satanists, or Satanism, or Satan worship, something about that. But the movie is a real slow burn, and you don't actually see anything mentioned about Satan worship until maybe the last fifth of the movie. All the rest of it is like, you know that there's Satan worship behind this. I just don't know where she's going to find it or how she's going to find it in this big house, because she spends a lot of this movie just wandering around this magnificent house, and it's like a Clue house. They have a billiard room. They've got a room up to, it's really fancy, but great movie, very well made. The first kill comes about 1/3 into the movie, and you don't see it coming at all. I highly recommend this, Steve, for you to watch The House of the Devil, and watch it with Joe Bob Briggs. He had an episode on it, but you're not going to watch it anyway.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, he will not watch it. Watch.
Not true.
When are you going to come
Maybe.
to my house and
Maybe.
I'll show it to you? I have to make a podcast. It's like you have to understand, I've shown you such gems as Black Christmas. Remember Black Christmas?
I do.
Yeah.
It's a very good film. Margot Kidder. She was great.
Yeah.
She played Margot Kidder.
All right. If you have nothing to add, we will talk about Trials and Tribulations for part of our Murder, She Wrote podcast. Are you ready?
Yes, and I'm going to ask you to drive this episode because, again, I've been drinking
Since
the past 5 hours.
2 o'clock.
So.
Okay. All right. So, this one opens up pretty badly.
Okay.
It's more like a Hunter episode than a Murder, She Wrote episode. And we see there's a guy named... there's two guys. Actually, it's a guy... It's not clear that he's actually leaving the prison, but some guy disguised as an electrician has helped some guy named Eddie Stone. Is it Stone? Escape from the prison. And as they're escaping, there's a otherwise, if it was anything else, I would have described it differently. But for Murder, She Wrote, it is a high-speed chase out of the prison, and there's
very Fast and Furious.
Yes.
Chase.
And there's even a helicopter involved.
There's helicopters, there's squad cars, there's bullets. It's funny because there's it's a van that's leaving this correctional facility or prison for New York State. And it's funny, the van leaves and the siren goes off that there's been an escape. And the cops were like, what? Not even sure that this van has anything to do with the escape, start firing on it.
Yeah. I want to know, when there's an escape from the prison and you hit the button for the alarm, I think the first guys that you should tell are the guys at the exit so they know not to let anybody out. But no, this doesn't happen. This is like the worst prison ever. Like, if I go to prison, I want to go to this prison because it's easy to escape.
So yeah.
So
the van they don't make it. The van rolls after the chase. Everybody dies.
Yeah, both guys inside die. Now it doesn't just roll, Steve. It rolls in slow.
It rickrolls
motion. In slow motion.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, what am I watching here? The Dukes of Hazzard. When we're done talking about all 260 something episodes of Murder, She Wrote, we should have a Dukes of Hazzard podcast.
No. You won't do the Cosby murder mystery, but you'll do the... Okay.
Steve, the Cosby murder mysteries lasted through like 10 episodes. Dukes of Hazzard went for years. I don't think we could...
It did?
Are we going to get canceled for talking about Dukes of Hazzard because they had a Confederate flag on the top of their car? I don't know. So this episode was directed by a gentleman named Vincent McEvity, or McEvity. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. It's also written by Peter Fisher. Now, these are both Columbo people. Peter Fisher wrote many, many Columbo episodes, and Vincent McEvedy is credited at IMDb as playing a prison guard. So I have no idea where he is in this episode because I don't see a prison guard for the rest of the episode. But
I'm sure it's got to be the first 2 minutes. Yeah. But
so he directed a whole bunch of the '90s Columbo episodes. So this is
really?
This is one of his first forays, presumably, into directing.
So everybody on this prison escape dies except for the cops. So the next scene we see Jessica.
Oh, this is my favorite scene.
It is. It's actually mine too. So Jessica's having breakfast in New York. I don't understand why she's in New York, but she's in New York having breakfast. Maybe she's doing a book signing, and it seems like the waiter knows her. Like, hey,
wait, is this the point where she moved to New York?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Because a woman comes up to her and like, hey, will you autograph my book? And she's like, hey, do you still live at Cabot Cove? And Jessica's like, yes. Do you still live at 9128, whatever the address is?
Candlewood Lane.
Jessica is like a little more confused, like, why does she know that?
That's creepy. Yeah.
It's like, yes. She goes, well, okay, well, there you go, Jessica Fletcher. I'm serving you summons for this court case, this civil lawsuit. So Jessica served papers.
Yeah.
So
let me say right now, you don't call it a summons. They call it a summons in this episode. A summons is when you're quote unquote asked, basically just ordered to go and appear in court and testify. What she's actually served with, unless New York is different from Texas, is a citation telling her that she's been sued. It would be a citation and a copy of the complaint. But keep on keeping on here, Steve.
So Jessica goes and talks to her lawyer at the insurance company, which I would think might be a different thing if you want to have a personal lawyer.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's stop. Time out. Sean professionally is a lawyer, so I thought of him like he'll explain so much in this. If there was an episode where Jessica has to deal with cybersecurity, that would be my field. But
okay.
So you are the lawyer, sir. So I'm going to abide to you.
Okay. So let's pretend that you do something intentionally. Like let's pretend that you assault somebody on the street, and then they sue you civilly, not criminally. You're not charged criminally, but they sue you. Your insurance company doesn't cover that shit. Okay? So if Jessica, in this case, she's accused of lying on the stand or discovering evidence that put Eddie Stone into prison and then he died, the insurance company would not cover that. It's something that she's done outside of, I don't know what the policy would be, her employment. I don't, if you if you make a mistake, obviously an auto accident, or if you own a business and somebody trips and falls, or somebody falls off a ladder and you own a construction business, yes, the insurance company covers that, but not intentional acts that she's alleged to do. And her lawyer, and she's like what? Because she's being sued for $50 million for providing clues or testimony or evidence that put Eddie Stone in jail, and it's his daughter suing her. And she's perturbed, of course. I would be too. And then her lawyer says, his name is, he's in this a lot.
Ray Danbridge.
Danbridge, yeah. She calls him Mr. Dandridge. He says, well, anybody can sue anybody if they have a lawyer. And that's not true. That's just not true. This drove me crazy because there's multiple incidents of this in it. You can sue anybody you want if you are an individual, okay, and you don't represent a company.
You don't need a lawyer.
You don't need a lawyer. You can just file something with the court. You pay the filing fee. You pay for the process server. You could sue Disney and say, hey, I don't like what you did with, episode 3 of The Mandalorian. And that's a lawsuit right there. You pay the 200-something fine, or not fine, but you pay the 200-something filing fee. You pay probably $90 for the process server to, serve process and Disney on their registered agent. And you're saying that the Mandalorian, episode 3 was shit. I don't know what episode 3 of the Mandalorian was, by the way. And then Disney would then not do what this lawyer did in this episode. These are the worst lawyers.
Oh, to settle?
Yeah, he wants Jessica to settle. That's $50 million. Let's settle. No. You have to file a motion to dismiss or a motion for no evidence summary judgment because there's no causation between Jessica putting this guy in jail or helping to put this guy in jail and the guy dying while he's escaping from jail.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a barrister to understand that type of shit. Like, you think, well, there's something wrong here. And she's absolutely right in being disgusted. But anyway.
Unless you're, like, an attorney like Charlie Cosmo.
Oh, Charlie Cosmo is another thing. We'll get to him. But,
okay.
Yeah. With a name like Charlie Cosmo, what the fuck else do you expect? I mean,
Esquire.
Yeah, Charlie Cosmo Esquire. Do you have ads up there for J.G. Wentworth?
Say what?
J.G. Wentworth, the settlement guy. Yeah, it's funny. When I first moved to Texas, ads for J.G. Wentworth were all over the place. He was a personal injury lawyer, and he's like, "You deserve justice. You deserve it now." And then I was listening to...
We have the Hammer. He does, like... I forget what his name is. He's like an accident lawyer.
Yeah, fuck these people. Fuck them.
Okay.
No, I hate them. Because I used to work for one of them, and fuck them. Seriously, I don't care. They air their ads during the day. Who's watching TV during the day on a weekday? Stoners and day drinkers. That's who's, and that's the type of clients you'll get if you go and work for those people. Trust me. Anyway, yeah, J.G. Wentworth was a big lawyer down here, and I thought that he was known all over the place, and he kind of disappeared. And I was listening to a podcast from people from Canada, and they mentioned him. And I was like, what the fuck?
Really?
I thought J.G. Wentworth died, but they know about him in Canada? Nowadays, there's companies that if you have filed a lawsuit, particularly a personal injury lawsuit, and you're waiting for your settlement, they will forward you your settlement with like 20% fucking interest. Anyway.
So Jessica apparently is getting sued.
Oh yeah.
She helped investigators 6 years ago. Actually helped in an investigation to arrest this Edward Stone. And, of course, yeah, he's the one that died in the prison break. And his daughter is the one that hired Charlie Cosmo to sue her for, I don't know what, Sean. Was Geraldine the daughter suing?
I don't know what the cause of action would be. I'm a little bit confused about that. What Jessica's lawyer does tell her, and this is very sound advice, Jessica wants to go, of course we know Jessica, she wants to go figure the whole thing out. She's like, I'm going to go talk to Geraldine. And her lawyer's like, no, that's not a good idea.
She's like, this is the best idea I've had all day.
No, you don't go and talk to people who sued you, because inevitably, if you are not Jessica and you are a normal person, there will be a fight. You are not going to resolve it just by talking to the person. Although there are some.
That's smart advice that Danbridge gave her.
Yeah. And Geraldine works for a newspaper. She's a journalist for, I suspect, a very left-leaning newspaper that is against oil, or it's
okay.
For climate change, or not for climate change, but against climate change.
Well, now we're suffering from that now. So.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Ask people in London. Hi. God, Steve, I'm so glad
It's
you're
like-
going to be dead by the time that ruins the world.
Wow. Oh my God.
No, seriously. You have children. I don't have children. I have cats. But seriously, like, it's just too fucking hot here. And then in London, I read that the roads are literally boiling. Like, they're melting. Roofs are melting. Like, people in England, they don't know this kind of shit. Like, they're...
Well, no. I mean, here in Texas, we have central AC. Like, in all the homes, we all have air conditioning. In London, they don't have that. That's not built into homes. So they are... Oh, my God. It would be like if we're living in Texas and you didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
I would die.
Yeah, we lost our air conditioning one time. We just had to move to somebody else's place for like 2 days until the AC guy came.
Right.
It's terrible. And it didn't used to be like that, I understand. Maybe I want to move back to Chicago.
So, yeah, Jessica goes and visits Geraldine and at her work and trying to talk it out. Geraldine's like, get the F out of here. I don't want to see your face. And at the same time, she gets a phone call from her boyfriend, Justin.
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy. So he works at a local, posh restaurant.
Yeah.
And he's like the pastry chef. And apparently, we find out a little bit more about him. That he's had a couple of bankruptcies. He's tried to open up a restaurant.
Oh, no, we don't find that out until later. So, I'm doing what you do. Okay, pull back. Wait, calm down. No. But it's obvious. Justin has this phone call with her, and, we know that he's a chef because he's got the chef's hat on. He's working in a kitchen.
Sure.
And his boss is a guy named... who is in this for no reason whatsoever. At the point where I actually thought, maybe this guy might be the murderer. No. Elliot von Steuben is the restaurant manager, and he's kind of a snooty whatever. Fun fact, this guy, I looked up my IMDb because I thought he looked kind of familiar. He has played Sweeney Todd in...
I could see that.
Yeah.
I so can see that.
And Justin is not a very good pastry chef. And in fact, he burns pastries in the first scene. And that's pretty much all we need to know about Justin until later. I don't know why this episode spends time on Justin just to throw him out later. And it's not because... I don't know. So, what happens next, Steve? Help me. Help me, Steve. You're not going to help me, are you?
Okay.
The courthouse.
So Danbridge, we see a scene where Danbridge visits Charlie Cosmo, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you try to settle?
Yeah.
Let's work
That's
this
what
out."
Cosmo wants because he works on a contingency.
Yeah, and we see him in the scene. We see a scene where he's talking to one of his other clients. He's directing them like, she's in a neck brace, she's in a wheelchair. It's like, okay, whatever you do when you're on trial, don't nod your head because you've got a neck brace. Talk slowly like you're retarded. Oh, sorry, that's not a
canceled.
Word,
bye.
Yeah, I got canceled. But so he's obviously one of those kind of lawyers that will. What am I looking for, Sean? He's the kind of lawyer.
He's a shyster. He hires actors to play doctors and nurses around his clients, so it looks like they're more sick than they are. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the preferred way to practice law. In fact, it's not a way to practice law. This character is so ambulance chaser shyster that it's off the charts. And we'll get there. I mean, he is as a lawyer, I was cringing. First of all, I was cringing at the procedure in this not movie. Jesus Christ, this episode. But it just made me feel ashamed to be a lawyer. And I used to be a personal injury lawyer. Now,
no, I did not.
Jessica is looking into. I can't remember. Oh yeah, she wants to look into the case that she's being sued for, the prosecution of
Sure.
Eddie Stone, So the first thing that she does is she goes to the police department and she talks to a Sergeant Paulson, played by one Stephen First. Now,
so I know you don't recognize this guy because you never watched Animal House.
No, I've never watched Animal House, but
you admitted that earlier.
Yeah.
So he's in Animal House. He plays who did he play in Animal House? I'm pulling up IMDb right now. He played Kent Dorfman. One of the funniest characters in Animal House, if you ever see it.
The actor is Stephen First, and I actually recognize him from a movie from I don't know if it was the 80s or the 90s, called The Dream Team, where there's 4 inmates of an asylum that escape. He's like the totally special one, I think. Christopher Lloyd is in it. He plays the OCD guy.
It's almost like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, in that one scene when they get out. Yeah, but it takes. I just the only thing, it wasn't a good movie. The only thing I remember was Christopher Lloyd.
It was okay.
They go to a clothing store, or they go to some store and it's clothing there, and Christopher Lloyd is OCD, and he's looking through the shirts and he goes, "Ha ha! They put with the extra large. I fixed it, got it just in time." I don't know why I remember that. I love Christopher Lloyd. That's what.
Who else was it? There's quite a few actors in that. There was. I'm pulling it up now. It's actually not that bad. It had Michael Keaton in it, like you said, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh,
Peter Boyle.
Oh,
Peter Boyle was in it.
Peter Boyle. Wow, I don't remember. Okay, Michael Keaton was like the main guy, and then the other 3, Peter Boyle, Stephen First, and Christopher Lloyd, were like the other 3 guys. But yeah, okay.
But it was very much like if you would imagine a sequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Very much so.
Yeah, but
at least that's the impression I got.
Although One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is not necessarily about the inmates and their little proclivities, as it is about the struggle between Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher.
Nurse Ratched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I read recently she can't stand to watch that movie anymore because it makes her feel bad. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, girl, you won an Academy Award for that, lady.
Who was in that? There was Danny DeVito was in that.
Yeah,
who else?
Christopher Lloyd was in that.
Was he really?
He was. Golly, the guy from The Hills Have Eyes is in that. Scatman Crothers was in that.
Yes. Scatman was in that.
Brad Dourif, which I think may have been his breakthrough role. I mean, he got an Academy Award nomination. Now he's an old man. But that movie came out the year I was born.
74?
75. It won Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Screenwriting. And it was the second of 3 movies to win all of those awards. Can you name the other 2 movies, sir?
No.
We've talked about one of them on a podcast before.
With your other podcasting...
No. With you.
Husband.
With you. No, with you.
I don't remember.
It's podcast boyfriend, not husband, sir. That's what your wife told me. So, Silence of the Lambs was the third one. Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, Jonathan Demme, and then the first one was It Happened One Night back in the 30s. And you getting some more sody pop there, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's a fun fact right there. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Well, you will find it anywhere else. So Jessica decides that there's this guy. His name is Vitello. I can't remember his first name. Angelo. I had to put the glasses on. Angelo Vitello. He basically has signed an affidavit stating that he lied about his testimony about putting Eddie Stone away, and he says, does he say that Jessica paid him money?
$5,000.
$5,000 to falsify his testimony. So Jessica's like, what the fuck? And her and our lawyer, Mr. Dandridge, which I feel bad calling him Mr. Dandridge. His first name is Ray. Her and her lawyer, Ray, because the guy's really nice. He puts up with her shenanigans, basically.
Oh yeah.
Because he says I should be doing this, but no, whatever. It will take longer.
Well, he even said you just drop it. Don't see Geraldine. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. He keeps telling her, "I'll take care of this," and she's like, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah, I'm gonna go and do it. And I like that.
He's like, "I'm earning my paycheck today."
Yeah, he's gonna bill her for all the time that he's accompanying her on these little missions she's going on. So she goes to quote.
But would you, as a lawyer, if Jessica Fletcher had you as her insurance lawyer, which is bizarre that what he would follow. If Jessica said, "Sean, you're going to come to lunch with me so we can go investigate this Justin guy," would you do it?
I think if
would you do it on the clock, or would you do it I'm doing it for fun?
I think if Jessica said, "We'll go hike the Appalachian Trail," I would say I'll do it. Which no, he's an insurance lawyer, so he's not doing it on the clock. Because he works for the insurance company. He doesn't have a quote-unquote client. Well, he does have a client. Jessica's his client. But his boss, whoever that person is probably like, where the fuck is Ray? Why isn't he at work?
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
I'm eating at a very posh restaurant right now. $1,500 a head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
you
bastard.
You can't expense that when you work. So they go to, quote, the bad side of town to talk to Angelo Vitello. And just so you know, he lives in a shitty place. I don't know why this is here, but they make a big deal.
It looks pretty clean to me. Actually, he doesn't look too ghetto.
But
there's like a toddler playing with toys on the steps. It's like, if it was so ghetto, one, there wouldn't be so many white people, but there wouldn't be a toddler.
But when they're waiting to get into Angelo's apartment, they have I think it's ADR. It's a voice recorded overlay after they filmed of people speaking Spanish. Like, oh, there's Spanish people speaking here, and there's an abandoned baby stroller in the hallway. It must be a bad neighborhood. But yeah,
sure. And Beatrice, the wife of Angelo, answers the door. Now, I don't know if yes. It's because of modern technology. We see Beatrice's face so clear, it's so crisp now, as opposed to what would have been on the TV in the 80s. When was this released?
1990.
But her lower teeth are bad.
Well,
like really bad. Like, I cannot, when Beatrice, the wife, talks, I cannot not stare at her lower teeth.
She has really bad grandma teeth. It looks like her two lower teeth were replaced by some sort of granite. Now, Steve.
Yes.
This actress who plays Beatrice, do you know who she is?
Going to IMDb right now.
So okay, I'll just then the answer is no. So it's no. I'm just saying no. It's Kim Hunter. Kim Hunter. Now, Kim Hunter, you might know her from a movie. It's a fucking show.
Oh, Planet of the Apes.
Yes, Planet of the Apes. She played
the female.
Yes, the main lady ape next to Roddy McDowell.
Yes.
Oh, she was also in an episode of Columbo.
Zira.
Yeah, Zira. There you go. She was also in an episode of Columbo called "Suitable for Framing," starring Ross Martin.
Oh, she was the aunt.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Beep, 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 beep. What do I win?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, what do I win?
You win absolutely nothing. You can tell she doesn't look like she did in Columbo, really, but you can tell by the voice.
No.
Yeah. So, tell us about the Vitello household there, Steve.
Tell you about it.
Okay, so Angelo
looks like it's on a studio set. We see Angelo. We find out that he is a diabetic.
Yeah.
That is in a wheelchair and on oxygen. So pretty much my future in the next 20 years. Yeah.
No, he's out of it. And she's like, "Oh, don't come in here. Don't bother
Thank
him."
you for laughing at my future in 20 years.
It's not going to be your future. And all he does is watch game shows.
And Sean's like, earlier before we started recording, he's like, "Hey, I want your Doctor Who stuff, so I'm going to like inject you with sugar."
So I'm going to ask you about that a little bit later. So he just basically, apparently, when you're diabetic, you need oxygen. Is this a thing? I don't know.
I think that has to do with the lung cancer.
Oh shit!
Sean,
you're right. God
that
damn it!
Was brought up earlier.
Yes. It was not brought up earlier,
Christ.
sir.
It's not due to diabetes.
It's brought up later.
You don't lose a lung because of diabetes. You might lose a foot because of diabetes, but you don't lose a lung.
Yeah, he's in bad shape. That's right. I'm so sorry. You're correct. So he can't walk. He's in a chair. And but don't get too attached to him. We see him for about 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah, he's not even listed in IMDb. Like, I don't know who this actor is.
It's probably a 20-year-old kid, that they dressed up as an old man.
You think?
Yeah, just like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's what they did with the old man. It was like an 18-year-old kid that played the old man with makeup on. So yeah. So his wife's like, "Don't come back here, whatever. I live in a bad neighborhood. I have a handicapped husband, blah, blah, blah." Put a pin in that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back to it. So, Jessica, what happens in there?
No, it's funny. It's funny because Sergeant Paulson, we have this guy, one guy who's diabetic. Paulson is like overweight. He doesn't look like, by today's standards, he doesn't look overweight, but he loves gummy bears.
Oh,
and
God.
you see him eating these gummy bears throughout the episode. And I'm like, I know he did like voiceovers for Disney. Like, did he do the gummy bears for Disney, the cartoon? No, he didn't. But he did other things.
He did a lot of voiceovers. Little Mermaid 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else.
Buzz Lightyear cartoon. But I thought it was funny because when I think of like somebody who carries around a bag of gummy bears, I'm sorry, I think back to Doctor Who with the jelly babies. He always carries around the fourth Doctor at least would carry around a bag of jelly babies. But apparently Sergeant Paulson would carry around a bag of gummy bears.
Yeah, and he tells Jessica, like, "Oh yeah, when you last saw me, when I was working the stone case, I was a size 36, but since then my wife divorced me. I got passed over for lieutenant like 2 or 3 times, so I gained a bunch of weight." It's like, why are they fat shaming this poor guy? He's always got a brow of sweat. And by the way, Steve, I texted this to you.
Yeah.
I thought he was the murderer. I really did, because he was one of the people working the stone case with Jessica at the time. So I thought he might have some sort of motive.
So they reference a previous thing where Angela has solved the case. Was this a previous episode? I can't find it.
I don't think so. They've only done.
So there are murder cases outside that she has solved that we are not aware of. So Jessica goes back to the police station. She's reviewing, I guess, the files. And she meets Ann Stevenson, who is the prosecutioner. I feel like
prosecutor,
slurring
not
a lot.
prosecutioner.
I'm slurring right now because I'm so.
Oh well, whatever. She meets Ann Stevenson. You sounded like you said Ann Stevenson. It's Ann Stevenson, but we just know her as Mrs. Stevenson. What? She is the prosecutor that worked to prosecute. What the fuck?
Stone.
Yeah, Stone.
Yeah.
Eddie Stone. And she remembers Angela. I'm sorry, Jessica. And she is visibly wearing a wig, which is important later on.
Really? Okay.
No, you couldn't tell that was a fucking wig.
No, I couldn't.
Later on, and we'll get there. There is a testimony about a blonde woman, and it turns out to be Anne. Not testimony, but evidence about a blonde woman. It turns out to be Anne, and I think the actress is a brunette, and I guess she didn't want to dye her hair for Murder, She Wrote, so they just put a blonde wig on her. And it looks terrible. It looks awful. I'm like, oh my God, did the actress have cancer and she had to put a wig on? and no. Just turns out that we needed to have her with blonde hair.
So she meets Jessica, and she's like, "Hey, I was the prosecutioner during that trial, and I'm going for district attorney." And I'm slurring. I'm sorry.
Stop it, Steve. Stop talking. Just go ahead.
But she's like, "Whatever you do, don't settle, because that will ruin my ability to go for a district attorney."
So Jessica goes outside. This is another part. Charlie Cosmo, attorney for Geraldine Stone, gets out of a cab and talks to Jessica about maybe settling. Like, we only need to just do this over a cup of coffee. Now, no. You can be fined as an attorney, and this goes, I'm pretty sure, across the board for all 50 states. You are not supposed to talk to the other side without their attorney present. That is a big, huge no-no. If their attorney found out, they could report you to the state bar. But as we will find out later on, the state bar doesn't really matter to Charlie because he does much worse things. Oh, and there's an agitated cab driver in this as well. He's like, are you people going to stop talking? Do I need to go? Do I need to stay? It's like the Clash. Do I stay or do I go? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You're gone, Steve, aren't you?
So I'm so glad you're sober right
Okay.
now.
I'm not sober. But, okay, so the cab driver takes off. She loses her cab. By the way, you know this is New York because they've got a lot of people walking and everything, but you can tell it's a total fucking set.
Well, and Judd Hird plays the taxi cab guy. So.
Judd Hurt?
Hurt.
Judd Hirsch.
What? Who?
Hirsch. Judd Hirsch.
That would be great. Sorry.
So then Jessica...
I told you you're going to have to drive this one tonight.
So no pun intended with the cab driver. So then there's a murder. Wait, no. No,
Not yet. Not yet. Murder has not happened yet.
At this point, I'm looking at my watch saying, when is the murder going to be in the Murder, She Wrote? I don't understand. So Jessica and her lawyer, Dan, they go to... Or Ray, I'm sorry. It's Dan Ray.
A rave?
Ray.
They go to a rave?
No, they don't go to a rave. Although I'd love to see that. They go to a fancy-ass restaurant where Justin is working.
Justin,
and Ray, the attorney, is like, Jessica, I don't know why we need to be here. It's $100 a head to have lunch, blah, 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 blah. I don't think any such restaurant exists, frankly, because that's really expensive in 1990. But this is what she says to him. She says, I've done my research. Mm-hmm. And I found out that Geraldine is dating Justin, who is a pastry chef at this restaurant, and he needs money, at least $500,000, to open his own restaurant, which he's trying to do. Okay, she says this in like 20 seconds. So Jessica's been doing... You can't do research and find that out unless you're like fucking Miss Marple and you go like for a week go and visit people. How does she know all this? It's impossible. So they're sitting there, they're having lunch and the snooty whatever his name is there, and then Geraldine shows up and she goes in the kitchen and what happens next, Steve? Help me out here. You got to help out a little bit.
Well, they find out that Justin was fired from the restaurant.
No,
owner.
sir. Bringing you back. No. Sir.
Okay.
He does get fired, but not before there's a murder.
Murder?
Yes, murder.
Okay.
So, Mr. Vitelli, Angelo Vitelli, his wife goes and babysits for the couple down the street. She comes back, and her husband.
He's dead. He's dead.
He's gonna die. He's in a diabetic coma.
He's going to yeah.
And we find out. Tell me if this is a thing, Steve, please. That we find out that somebody injected him with sugar.
Sugar, yeah, and goes into a diabetic coma. Yeah, that can happen.
Oh, really?
Sure.
That is a thing?
That's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do me in. Thanks.
All right. So
there's a few ways you could do a diabetic in. That would be one of them.
what are the others?
Have you ever seen the film Memento?
Yes.
Yep, that would be another way. Yep.
Oh, okay. No, that's excellent. That's right. I need my shot.
Oh my God! What? That's excellent. Now I know how to kill Steve and get his
I need my shot.
Doctor Who merchandise
except-
and his Doctor Who stuff.
Except
That's
that I
great.
can remember shit, and I'm not like the guy Stephen Koblowski in that movie, where his wife is like, "Stephen, I need my shot," and then he gives her a shot, and then he doesn't remember that he gave her a shot. She's like, "I need my shot."
Oh, it'd be so easy to kill a diabetic. I've thought about this in so many ways. It'd be easy. Yeah.
So he dies.
Okay.
So Angelo dies, and Jessica goes to the hospital. Kim Hunter, his wife. I'm just going to call her Kim Hunter. Beatrice is what. I don't know. He dies, and she says, "Oh, I thought he was going to die anyway." Blah 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 blah. I'm done talking about it, and then we find out from Jessica's lawyer that he did die. Blah 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 blah. They threw a syringe. The murderer threw the syringe out in the backyard. And there was a lady seen exiting the front. She had
the syringe had like a concentrated level of sugar too. So
that
a diabetic would go into a shock if too much sugar isn't introduced into the bloodstream.
And then isn't there a type of diabetes where there's not enough sugar though? Is there such a thing?
No, it's one or the other.
Okay.
You go one way or the other. You're so drunk right now.
So this is the thing. When we're going to record, sir, you don't...
I might die tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So...
So a diabetic can go one way or the other because they don't have the proper insulin from their kidneys. So they can't digest or process sugars in the bloodstream. So where was I?
They can't digest it.
Alcohol is really bad for diabetics.
Okay. All right.
Cookies and cakes as well.
All right, yeah. Yet you are drinking alcohol right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And if your level goes too low, you can go into a coma, which I'm very close to doing that.
I know. Yes.
But thanks. And if you had too much blood sugar, you go the other way.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All
go
right.
ahead.
When we talk about the asthmatic episode, we'll go into that because I know all about it as well as rapid heartbeat. I suffer from that as well. So anyway, there was a lady seen leaving the scene of the crime at 7:30. She had blonde hair, she had glasses on, and all that. And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Jessica," because Jessica wanted to kill the guy.
But the thing is, it looked like Jessica because she had short blonde hair, which kind of looks like maybe the district attorney. Yeah. Her name, Stephanie. What was her name?
No, Mrs. Stevenson, Ann Stevenson. And she is
Stevenson.
not the district attorney. She wants to run for district attorney, but they have this unnecessary scene where they have Jessica participate in a lineup. Wearing a hat and dark glasses, and Jessica's like, "Oh no, it wasn't me." Mrs. Stevenson, it was you, because you have blonde hair, and you're whatever. Okay, Jess, and also Jessica, I like this. This is a good clue because Steve, I love clues. There's a good clue where she's like, okay, so Sergeant, if the murderer left the syringe in the back, why then was she supposed to leave through the front? That doesn't make any sense. Why didn't the murderer just leave through the back and then drop the syringe? Why would the murderer drop the syringe in the back? And so Jessica kind of figures it out through osmosis that it's Ann Stevenson, the prosecutor. I'm kind of rushing to the...
Who I thought at this point was definitely the killer.
I thought it was Sergeant.
Like she was kind of hesitant, like she didn't want to become the district attorney, and so she was trying to sabotage her own, promotion.
I don't know what that meant, but yeah.
Okay.
Her own motion? What do you mean?
Her own promotion.
Oh, promotion. Okay.
Like she didn't want to get promoted.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Which would be a silly reason to kill somebody.
Yeah. And I thought it was Sergeant Paulson because he was involved in the... I just didn't trust the guy. And gummy bears all the time.
Yeah, gummy bears.
You really got to lay off the gummy bears. Not good. All right. So, Jessica... what happens? She confronts Stevenson, the prosecutor. She's like, what the fuck? It was you. And then the prosecutor, Stevenson, is like, okay, yeah, it was me. This is why I'm wearing this blonde wig. She didn't say that, but that's why they made the actress the blonde wig. And then they do a search of the apartment, and I'm rushing forward to the end, sir, for obvious reasons. And they find $25,000. Is it $25,000?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, all right. They find it in Mr. Vitello's ceiling, or Mrs. Vitello's ceiling at this point because she's a widow. And they're like, oh, there's also a stepladder. And then her and Jessica and the police sergeant are talking, and it's like, it's not true. You actually hid that money after you came home from babysitting, and there's a note. And then she reads the note, and it turns out that the guy committed suicide. And Mrs. Vitello, Kim Hunter, is covering up the whole thing. Okay!
I feel like if I was sober, I would, add more to this conversation. Because you, skipped over so many things in my notes.
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
And you, jumped from page 2 to page 3.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there were 3 pages of your notes. So, yeah, this is pretty much it. That's it. It was suicide, she wrote. It wasn't murder at all.
No. So, yeah, the guy, the murder was...
the victim.
Oh, shit.
Are you clicking on your... What are you clicking on?
I'm clicking on stuff like notes and stuff.
You write them on a piece of paper. Here, I have paper. I use paper.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that paper. Yes,
Okay.
Thank you for giving me that piece of paper. That's great.
Here, we'll wait for you, sir, to get your notes.
All right. So, are we... there are so many episodes where you're
I know, but
and I carry you, and now it's your turn to carry me. So
you don't carry when I'm trashed. I tend to talk more than you do. When you drink.
No, you. Ladies
and gentlemen, this is what it's like. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it's like.
All right, so so the guy killed himself. There's no murder. Well, there is a murder, and the wife is like, I didn't want to let anybody know because he was such a Christian, and he wanted to be buried in sacred ground. Oh my God, I'm sober.
I think that's bullshit.
I'm the sober one. I'm talking about this.
No, I think that's bullshit. I think that Catholics.
No, it's legit.
Are you sure? You're not Catholic, though.
I grew up Catholic.
Oh, you do? So if you commit suicide, you are not permitted to be buried in what she calls consecrated ground. Which, by the way, I didn't know that ground could be consecrated. I just thought that the wafers were consecrated.
The wafers?
Yeah, the wafers that they give you during communion.
Oh, the wafers, like during communion. Yeah. Okay. All right, so Sean.
Okay, Steve.
Oh, have we gotten to the end? Can we?
We have gotten to the end. Yes,
all
it's
right.
over. We're done with it. He killed himself. It wasn't a murder.
How are you still sober? Oh my god! I want an episode of this confab. What are we doing?
Podcast. You're just playing now.
Or we're both drunk. That would be great. We take turns.
Okay. All right. So how much should we rate this out of?
Rate?
Stop it, sir. How much?
All right. So I'm taking Sergeant Paul. Are you snoring at me?
As soon
what
as
is
I
that?
am able.
All right. So Sergeant Paulstein's waist 6 years ago
Wait a minute.
was.
Hold on. Back up.
What?
Sergeant Paulson. Where do you get Paulstein from?
Oh my God. Paulson's waist 6 years ago was a 36 waistline.
Okay.
So, what would you rate this out of 36?
17.
Really?
Yeah,
Why so low?
Did not like this very much at
Because
all.
the lawyers are so bad?
Well, there was that. It was like do your research, Peter S. Fisher. You wrote so many other things that I have to be fair to that. It's a the lawyer stuff is okay. It's just TV stuff. But no, this is not a good story whatsoever. The scene I talked about where Jessica sits down and says, "Oh, I did my research." And Geraldine is dating the pastry chef, and he's been trying to... What? You just came to this conclusion? And also, she jumps to the conclusion that... excuse me. No, that Kim Hunter hid the money... And there's a stepladder. Therefore, she must have climbed the stepladder to hide the money, even though somebody appears to have broken into the apartment to kill her husband. There are so many conclusions made in this that it's like she may as well have just threw a dart and hit a suspect. And there's the whole Justin subplot, which goes nowhere. He just gets angry at some point and walks off the set. I'm sorry, he just walks out of the restaurant that they're preparing. Like, I've had it. I'm not having my restaurant anymore. I'm losing my temper and I'm walking out. Oh, that's it. That's silly.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, it's your restaurant. Like, what are you? Like, is he going to go, like, hit up some heroin or something? Like, what's his problem? He seemed like he had an idea, a dream, and he's just going to walk out because Jessica and his girlfriend are talking some shit. It's just silly. I think this was the season opener for season 8 too. So it's not a good episode. It's just and I don't know how I feel about the murder actually being a suicide.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I agree. The suicide thing was a bit silly.
Yeah.
I will say I liked the character Charlie Cosmo. I like that he's kind of a sleazy lawyer.
Yeah.
Geraldine Stone. I felt like it would have been if we could have applied more attention to her.
Yeah. She's the one suing Jessica.
But
and she's cute too.
Yeah, and I thought Ann Stevenson, the person who's going for a district attorney, like, I really honestly thought she was the killer. And again, with you, I think you said this earlier, maybe on this recording, but you said, like, you thought Sergeant Paulson might be, like, co-cooperators in this murder.
No, and you said that. I texted you. And I said, I'm pretty much sure Sergeant Pearson's the murderer because he was involved in the old case.
Well, like with Ann Stevenson, the person who's going for a district attorney, like she had to have this case be settled.
Yeah.
And then, of course, how the person how he died. I can't think of his name.
Angelo
Vitello. But yes, thank you. Like Justin was a pastry chef, so he would know about sugar. So it was like, wow, maybe he's involved with like injecting with sugar.
Everybody knows about sugar. You don't have to be a pastry chef to know about sugar.
But he would have, I guess, access. Right, I don't know. So it had me guessing a lot. Quite honestly, I'm like, who could be the killer? I would have not thought like suicide.
Yeah,
and thanks for, as a diabetic, like giving me thoughts about how, if my insurance goes out, how I should do it. So thank you, Stephen Fisher.
Peter Fisher.
Peter Fisher. You gave it a 17 out of 36 waistline. I give it a 30.
Oh, really? You liked it that much?
I liked it. Because I didn't know who the killer was until the very end, and I would not have ever suspected suicide.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to give it. I didn't suspect that either, but I'm not going to give it props for being unpredictable. I'm just going to be angry that the story sucks.
All right.
I can't help
so get those fucking cats out here. Let's get
All
the.
Right. All right, let me put my glasses on, and the cats have the season 8 wheel out. And hold on one moment while they do that, talking amongst myself. And Steve, would you please spin the wheel? Wait, don't spin it yet. Spin the wheel now.
All right. Doing it now.
All right, so I'm going to play this game with you. I'm going to give you the name of the episode, and then you have to tell me what that episode is about. Okay? So this is called... Wait, hold on. I got to find it on here. Hold on. Wow, this is great podcasting right here.
Oh, yeah.
I can't find it on here, Steve. Oh, here it is. Okay. The name of the episode is Tinker, Tailor, Liar, Thief.
I feel like I've seen this one.
Don't take too long, Steve. That doesn't...
I'm Googling.
No, you can't Google. You have to say off the top of your head.
Oh.
Tinker, Tailor, Liar, Thief.
So in London, I'm suspecting, just guessing randomly. It takes place in London. Jessica meets a old friend at the U.S. Embassy, Vince Consult, who introduces her in passing. I don't fucking know.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the final episode of Cable.
So this is Tinker Tailor. Is this not a fucking film?
Yeah, it's there's a film called there's a book, an old book called Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Starring what's his face, Gary Oldman and Benedict Cumberbatch, two gentlemen who are in everything.
Oh, great film! Can we review that film instead of this?
I hate you so much right now.
What did I say?
You said you wanted to review that film instead of the... I've watched that film.
Because that film is probably really good, because I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it too, yeah. Oh, if you've heard of it, it must be good. It made the rounds like a fucking slut for you to have heard of it.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Shit, yeah, girl went there. Mm-hmm.
What episode is this? What episode?
Tinker, Tailor, Liar, Thief. It's episode 15 of season 8.
Okay.
No, you already looked it up. You already said like half of what it's about. Anyway, this is what it's about.
Oh, tell me.
Cultures clash in London when Jessica discovers a murder victim, but then loses it twice, much to the disgust of Scotland Yard. Huh? What do you think? Does it sound like fun? Want to watch that? Huh?
Yeah, sounds great. Gotta pee.
This is me putting this.
I'm doing the pee dance right now.
Okay,
so.
well, good. All right, so we'll say goodnight, Steve, to the people, and we'll speak to you next time. And I'm sorry, I have to apologize for this, and we'll talk to you next time, everybody.
Yay! All right, Rudy, you got to do it.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Cabot Cove Confab. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Cabot Cove Confab or email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com.